Good night, this is Fumi Sleepy Time Stories. Tonight's bedtime story is about to begin.
Once upon a time, in a distant kingdom, there lived 3 princes. When the 2 elder brothers had come of age, they wished to see the world and gain knowledge beyond the palace walls. But not long after leaving home, they fell into a life of wasteful luxury, spending their gold recklessly and forgetting all thoughts of returning. Their youngest brother, a small and unremarkable little fellow, decided to set out and find them. After enduring many hardships, he finally found his brothers. But instead of welcoming him, they laughed at him, saying he was too young and naive, and that he ought to travel the world and gain some wisdom. Even they, who were so clever, still sometimes struggled to deal with the world. Persuaded by their words, the little brother agreed to journey with them, and so the 3 princes set off together to see the world. The first thing they came upon was an anthill. The 2 older brothers wanted to tear it apart and dig it open, eager to see how the tiny ants would scurry about in panic, carrying their eggs in frantic haste. But the little one said, "Let these poor little creatures live in peace. I cannot bear to see you trouble them or disturb their quiet lives." So strongly did he oppose them that the brothers had to give up the idea and walked on. Soon, they reached a lake where many wild ducks swam freely across the water. The older brothers wished to catch a couple of ducks and roast them for supper, but the youngest cried out, "Let these poor creatures live, do not kill them," and again, because of his plea, the brothers moved on. Next they came to a great tree, where, in a hollow of the trunk, a colony of bees had built a hive, and sweet honey dripped from the bark. The elder brothers wanted to light a fire beneath the tree and smoke out all the bees so they could gather the honey, but the little one stood in their way. "Let these poor little bees live freely," he said. "I cannot allow you to burn them alive." At last, the 3 brothers came to a castle. As they passed by the stables, they saw noble horses standing still. But they were not living animals. They were carved from marble, and not a single living soul could be found within the castle walls. Room by room, they wandered through the castle until they found a door fastened with 3 locks. Above it was a small window, and through this window they could see into the room beyond. Inside sat an old man with hair as white as snow, resting at a table. They called to him twice, but he did not hear. Only when they called a 3rd time did he rise and beckon them to open the locks and let him out. Once the old man stepped out, he spoke not a single word. He forbade them from touching anything and silently led them to a splendid table laden with delicious food. After they had eaten their fill, he showed each of them to a bedchamber and left without a sound. The next morning, the old man entered the eldest brother's room and led him to a great marble table. Beside it stood 3 stone tablets, each inscribed with writing. It was then that the eldest brother learned the castle was under a magical spell, and that the writing on the tablets told how the spell could be broken. The first task read, "Beneath the moss of the forest lie 1,000 pearls belonging to the princess. All must be found before sunset. Should even one be missing, the seeker shall be turned to stone." The eldest brother set out at once and searched the whole day long, but when the sun began to sink, he had found fewer than 100 pearls. As the writing foretold, he was turned into a stone statue. The next day, the second brother tried his luck. He fared no better. Having found only 100 pearls, he too was turned to stone. At last, it was the little brother's turn. He searched among the moss, but the task was too great, the pearls too well hidden. Worn and weary, he sat down on a stone and began to weep. But just then, help arrived. The ant king whom he had once spared came to his aid. With him came 5,000 ants, and in no time at all, they had gathered all the pearls into one great shining pile. The second tablet read, "Retrieve the key to the princess's chamber from the bottom of the lake." The little one hurried to the lakeside, and there, swimming happily, were the ducks he had once spared. Seeing him, they came ashore and asked what troubled him. Upon hearing his quest, they dove into the water and swiftly returned with the key. The third and final task was the hardest of all. He must choose the youngest and most beautiful of 3 princesses. But the 3 princesses looked exactly alike, all equally fair and lovely. The only clue he was given was this. The eldest had eaten a piece of sugar, the second had tasted syrup, and the youngest had eaten a spoonful of honey. Just then, the bee king, whom the little one had once saved from the flames, arrived. He buzzed around the mouths of the 3 princesses, sniffed carefully, and at last settled on the lips of the one who had eaten honey. The little one knew at once she was the youngest princess. With all 3 tasks completed, the spell over the castle was broken. All those who had been turned to stone, both people and animals, returned to their true forms. The little brother married the youngest, fairest princess. When her father, the king, passed away, the little one became king in his place. His 2 brothers, who had also been freed, each married one of the other princesses.